welcome to my kitchen. Today we're making dilly beans. If you guys haven't been here before, you should really hit that subscribe button because we're starting to harvest from the garden and we are going to have all kinds of awesome wicked stuff that we're going to harvest and then prepare for long-term storage. We're going to be doing these videos. It's August 5th or 6th, 2023. We're going to be doing these videos until late September. So you should hit that subscribe button, and that way you can follow along and you can put food away for your family too. So like I said, we're doing bush bean dilly beans today. I grow three types of beans, right? I grow green and yellow pole beans, and I'm going to can those away, just standard canning. And then I grow yellow, purple, and green bush beans to make dilly beans. And I'll show you how gorgeous these things are. So flip this camera around, I'll show you what we're doing. This is super simple to do, it doesn't take a long time. It's the prep work that really takes a long time, okay? Okay, so I've already skipped a bunch of steps because you don't need to see all the steps, but I'm gonna tell you what I did and give you some tips. When you're picking your beans off the plant, okay, grab the bean and break it or pinch it with your thumb. That way you take the attachment point off of the bean and leave it on the plant. So that way, so I've got 5 largemouth quart jars here. This is 3 pounds of beans, okay? So if you have to process all the tips off of those beans before you can can them, that's a whole extra step you got to do. But when you're harvesting, if you break them off as you're harvesting, then you don't have that extra processing time. Stuff this back down. Secondly, when your beans get extra large, like these ones here, okay, because I didn't get to harvest my beans right on time when I really wanted to, so some of them get extra large. You can eat these now, they're not too bad, okay, but if you turn these into dilly beans, these really big ones, what happens is they become really tough and leathery in the brine, and they're not good. People aren't going to eat them. I serve these to guests all the time, and when I first started making these, I didn't know, and I made a whole batch, and some of them had these big beans because I thought, hey, look at that, we'll put these big beans in. No one wants to eat them. So when you have these big beans, don't put them in here. So what I do is I'm going to save all these big beans. I have about, I don't know, 2 pounds worth over there. I'm just going to dry them out, and I'm going to strip the bean seeds out of here, and then I'll just replant these next year. I've been growing literally the same bunch of beans now since like 2010. Right. So there's that. When you're packing your jars, the easiest way to do it is tip your jar on its side, okay, and just start pushing your beans in, and give it a shake, and it's going to leave a hollow spot here. Just keep feeding beans into this hollow spot here. And if you find after you've filled up all of your jars and they're pretty tight and you still have some processed beans left that you really want to use, you're okay, because what happens is once you pour the brine into here, the beans will soften up a little bit and you will be able to push extra beans down into these holes. Okay, so all these jars just got washed. Over there on my stove, there's my stove. On my stove, I have the lids. The lids warming up in water. It's not going to boil, but they're warming up. Here, I'll show you. Okay, so there's the lids. Okay, in here is the brine. We have 1/2 cup of pink Himalayan rock salt, 5 cups of 5% vinegar, and 5 cups of water. Now, you guys may have seen online, social media, YouTube, whatever, that some of the stores are now turning their vinegar to 4%. I haven't actually seen any 4% yet, but just for safety purposes, always make sure that any vinegar you're buying recently is the 5%, okay? This is my pressure canner, but it's a 23 quart Presto, but I'm using that to water bath can, right? So I've just got the lid on and that's boiling, that's ready to go, okay? And another thing behind me that you can't see is whenever I'm water bath canning, sometimes it's hard to estimate how much water you're going to need in your water bath canner. So I've just finished boiling a full kettle of boiling hot water. That way, if I need a bit of water in the canner after I put the jars in, I have a full kettle I can top it up with, and it's not going to slow down the process. All right? Couple of tips, make life easy for you. Excuse me. And in here, that is fresh dill seed that I harvested off my dill plants yesterday. In here is a German variety of garlic that I grew myself and just finished curing. So all we're going to do is every jar is going to get some garlic, like that. Doesn't have to be precise, okay? Every jar gets some garlic, like that. Boom, get that out of the way. The whole point here is to have fun, guys. You don't need to be so serious, right? You got to take certain safety precautions, obviously. But other than that, have fun with what you're doing. We are using 1 heaping teaspoon of dill seed in each, at least to start. Just going to give them all a big fat scoop. Yeah, well, we'll put in the stem anyways, whatever. All right, do that. You know what? We're going to give every one of them a little bit more because I like dill. You guys fans of the dill flavor? See that I have done this with the dill fronds off the plants, but what happens sometimes is that those dill fronds, they get really mushy and they tend to stick to the beans when you're pulling them out. And I'll be right back. There's one more thing I got to get. And now these are Mexican Darbol chili peppers. They're about the size of a 22. Okay. I've harvested them from plants that I've grown. Sorry. And I've just dehydrated them. So we are going to make one of these jars spicy. How about we go extra spicy? Cool. So there we go. You can also add onions into here. And I meant to harvest onions from my garden yesterday and bring some home to put into here, but I didn't. So we're just going to skip that part. Right? Right. So now, all we need to do, can I take the top off the canner? Because we're going to need to get into there in a minute. Water's boiling like crazy. That's what we're looking for. We're going to take this boiling brine. Give it a good stir. Give it a good stir. You want the salt dissolved, okay? And you don't need to get this to a rolling boil, but you definitely want it boiling. We're gonna need, let's see here. There, kind of get both in the picture. Right. Gonna need one of your funnels for your cans. And you want your beans, you want a 1/2 inch of headspace. So we're just gonna start topping these up. Quit it. That's Thor in the background. So we just top all these up. Those lids are warming up. And as soon as we get all these full, we only have one more step, and that is to make sure we get all the bubbles out. All right, I'm gonna fill all these up. I'll be right back. As per usual, I ran out of brine. So I just had to pause the video and whip up some new brine. So if you want to do 5 quarts of beans, I started off with the recipe says 5 cups of water, 5 cups of vinegar, and a 1/2 cup of salt. So I just mixed up another 2.5 cups of water, 2.5 cups of vinegar, and a 1/4 cup of salt in the pot. So now we're just going to keep going. Put this in here. And now we're going to top up all of these to a 1/2 inch of headspace. And if you guys have one of these, right, a lot of them actually have the little numbers written down here. So I don't know, you probably won't be able to see it in the camera, but where my finger is the 1/2 inch, right? So all you do is you just put that on the rim of your jar, and that'll tell you, see, you just step it down for whatever amount that you need. So we need 1/2 inch, which is there, right? So we'll just top it up to that point. Go, throw that in there. Top it up like that. Okay. Next, we're going to take that same tool and we're going to debubble these jars. And if you've noticed, the purple is fading out of the beans because they're in that boiling hot water or that boiling hot brine. So debubble them. That's important. Botulism is, you know, not something to mess with. So make sure you get all your proportions right and debubble it. Don't let any of those bubbles hide down in those beans. Get them all out. And it doesn't help that they're floating, does it? All right, so now we're going to take our magnetic little tool here. Going to put our rings on, or our lids on. Oh, you know what we forgot? We forgot to wipe those down. Get a little paper towel. Wipe your tops down. You may have a little bit of salt or whatever on here, and you don't want it to mess with your seal. There we go. We got that, we got that. Now all we do is put our tops on. Well, I like that ping sound, but it's far too early for that to be happening. There we go, just like that. That one's not centered. There we go. Now, take our rings. Now, this is the important part here. When you're putting a ring on, you only want it finger tight. So just kind of grab it with your fingers and turn it until your hand starts to kind of twist. And then you know it's tight. You do not want to over tighten these. And most people are going to store their jars without these rings on anyways. I don't store almost any of my products with these bands on them. So, just like that. Now we just drop them in. You're gonna want your tongs, okay? And you need to make sure also that you have the metal disc here in the bottom to space out your jars and keep them off the bottom of your pot. We're just going to put these all in. like that. Okay. Now you have to have at least an inch of water. Here, I'll show you. You need to have at least an inch of water over the top of the lid. Okay. So we have way more than an inch. So we're good. So I don't need the water in that kettle. Now, we need to get this to boiling again. So I'm just going to throw that lid on. And once it's boiling, you time it for 12 minutes and they're done. It's not too complicated. So we're just going to throw this on because it's just going to help speed up the process. Just like that. And then when that starts bubbling away, I'm going to hit the timer for 12 minutes. When the timer's over, we're going to pull them out. We hit 12 minutes. Let's pull them out. Alright. That's what I'm talking about. Let's bring this over here. Hang on a minute. We'll fix this up. Drop this down, drop this down. Bring this down. Oh yeah. So now we're going to let these sit here for 24 hours. And you notice all the purple's gone from the beans, right? That happens when you steam them and stuff too. But they still taste awesome. So we're just going to let these sit 24 hours from now. And then we're just going to put them down in the pantry. So the next step is we just wait for all the lids to pop and we're good to go. So if you guys like what you see here, give me a big thumbs up. Share this around because it's harvest season and there's going to be a lot of people looking for ways to process their food. Like I said earlier, smash that subscribe button and the notification bell and you guys can follow along. And we're going to be doing all kinds of wicked stuff come harvest season here. So have an awesome day, grow good food, and I'll see you later.